Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Storytime with BDD. I'm your host, BDD, aka Brooklyn Dad. Happy Friday, everybody. Happy Friday. Thank God it's Friday because it really does feel like this week has been like 4 weeks compressed into one news wise. So many things have happened. And welcome, you guys. Thank you for joining me. Let me see who was. We got Zelda at the top, of course. That is your spot, Zelda, until someone claims it from you. Meredith Powell is here. Valerie G in the Heezy. Queen of the South. Bernadette H. Um, uh, Mind you guys, you will hear me coughing during this episode, and I retook the COVID test. I am negative. Negative. I'm negative, but still have this lingering cough. I almost did not do story time today, but I did not want to let you guys down. But yeah, so I will be coughing, but I'm fine. Don't worry about it. Monique Lee is here. Lucy L. Chris Passeri is here. Cindy C. RJ. Lulu Girl. Fox Hill Dreams. Tracy M. aka Nurse Mitch. Welcome, you guys. Happy to have you here. Blue Lady. CJ. Samantha Hawkins, of course, and the Trump Reaper. Thank you, guys. Thank you for joining me. And so let's just go ahead and jump right in. I'm going to first do what you guys know what it is. It's that stories of the day.
Stories of the day.
Yeah, I really do need to get to the doctor and get myself some antibiotics. I don't know what it is. Like I've been taking vitamin C, like 2,000 milligrams a day. At actually a few days ago, I was taking 4,000 milligrams a day. But this cough is lingering, and it is a pain in the ass. Ass. All right, so our top story. Actually, it shouldn't even really be the top story, but it is the top story of the day. Those of you who were looking forward to, well, it's called Justice Delayed, and you'll know why in a second. But first, okay, yeah. So, those of you who are looking forward to September 18th, if you had that date circled on your calendar, go ahead and uncircle it. Uncircle it because it has now been postponed to avoid the appearance of political interference. More on that later. Excuse me. Speaking of political interference, it has been learned that some of our very own American so-called patriots on the Republican side of things have been duped into spreading Russian propaganda. Shock. Totally shocked. But no, it's true. And I'm not shocked. But here is the shocking bit of news for today. We have not one, but two, count them, two Cheneys on the record supporting Kamala Harris for president. Dun, dun, dun. I wish I had my dun, dun, dun. Wait, let me see. Do I still have it? Hang on. Let me see. Do I have? I got to find that dun, 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 video clip. That thing was funny. Anyway, yeah, that's a major shocker. Dun, dun, dun. I'm still not a fan of Dick Cheney and his policies, but I am a fan of anybody who takes a stand against Donald Trump and the threat he poses to democracy. So for now, the enemy of my enemy is not my friend, but I will tolerate him. Excuse me. And please remember to subscribe. Hit that subscribe button. Also, while you're in the vicinity, also make sure you hit the like button. Looks like my thumb up. Please do so. It helps the channel. It helps us distribute this content far and wide. Far and wide. Let's see. Yes, prefer not Dick Cheney as he's a war criminal. Agreed. Agreed. They did trick us into jumping into the Iraq War. As far as what I'm looking forward to watching today, this is a movie on Netflix that I set a notification. So you know how you can set a notification for this show? I set a notification on Netflix to watch this movie. Apparently, the director is famous for movies that I had not ever watched or even heard of. But anyway, it's called Rebel Ridge, and it's about a brother who goes to a small ass town to go. He's got like 30 something $1,000 bail money for his, I forget if it's his brother or his cousin, who's been locked up on some, charges. Don't know if they're real or not. But he gets intercepted by some small local town cops who then go and confiscate his money because they assume he must be a drug dealer. Yeah, it's one of those kind of movies. So naturally, I'm looking forward to seeing this guy. It's a cousin, Zelda tells me. It's his cousin that he goes to bail out. And so, yeah, from the trailer, it looks like they've messed with the wrong brother. So sign me up for that, please. Thank you very much. It's that you a little far from home, ain't you, boy? It's one of those things. So excuse me. Also starring Don Johnson. You might remember Don Johnson from the 80s hit show Miami Vice, who sadly is really good at playing racists in movies. He was in one of my favorite movies. It was a Quentin Tarantino movie, Django Unchained. He was very good in that. I'm sure he's like the polar opposite of the character he plays. I heard that Carol O'Connor, also known as Archie Bunker in All in the Family, was probably about as liberal as you get. And he played like the most infamous bigot from the 70s. So I don't know if it's a fact. It just feels true that Don Johnson is probably on the right side of things. My guess. Anyway, Hunter Biden was on the wrong side of the law in this instance. A lot of experts and onlookers agree that if his name were not Biden, he would not be in the position that he is in legally with this tax thing. So he had a trial coming up. They were getting ready to select a jury. And initially, he was going to try to do this Alfred. Something is called an Alfred plea, which is like, I'm guilty, but I'm not guilty. I'll plea if I have to, but I don't really want to, kind of thing. So they were going to try to do that. His legal team was going to attempt to do that, but it's kind of frowned upon, especially when you just spring it on them the last minute, or spring it on the prosecution, give them any heads up. So ultimately, Hunter Biden decided to plead guilty to all counts so as to avoid the embarrassment, the excuse me, the inconvenience of having this going on during an election season. So my hat is off to you, Hunter. Apparently still coming out of the White House, they're still insisting they're not going to pardon him. But they didn't ask Kamala Harris. I wouldn't mind, frankly. I don't care if Joe himself changes his mind, say, you know what? I got presidential immunity. I'm going to extend that to my son. I'm going to give him a pardon and a pony. But yeah, I don't care at this point. Go ahead and pardon him. The kid has been through. The kid has been through quite a bit. He has, you know, a lot of it his own doing. You know, he was he was addicted, and I know what addiction is like, and it turns you into a crazy person. So, yeah, give the kid a pass. Meanwhile, um, Kamala Harris has passed Donald Trump in fundraising for the month of October with the staggering amount $310 million. Wait, it says July. I'm pretty sure this was meant to be August. But in any case, last month and July she raised 310 million. August she raised 300 million. Donald Trump only raised $100 million. It's a beautiful thing. I love to see it. I love it so much. Now let's jump forward to the debate that's coming up this Tuesday. Some people, I don't know why, are nervous about it. I guess it's kind of high stakes. It's high stakes because despite the fact that you and I, us, we know Kamala Harris, we know her going back some ways. We know her at the very least, we know her going back to 2019 and 2020 when she was campaigning to be president originally before dropping out of the race. And then we know her from the past few years. But a good sizable chunk of America doesn't really know Kamala Harris all that well. So Tuesday will be an opportunity for America to get to know who she is. Oh my goodness, Zelda, I know who you is. Thank you so kindly for this generous donation to the show, to Storytime with BDD. Very much appreciate it. Thank you so much. Excuse me. So yeah, America is going to get to know who Kamala Harris is in terms, like, I guess if they didn't watch the DNC, not even one night, which is weird to me. It's weird, like I knew what I was in for when when the RNC was running in July. I knew it was going to be just lie after lie after lie, and I still watched it, even if I wasn't as involved in politics as I am today. I would have at least watched one night. So surprising if folks didn't watch at least one night of the DNC, especially considering that the DNC thumped the RNC in terms of ratings. The ratings blew the RNC out of the water. So the debate that's coming up on Tuesday is going to be slightly different from, well, what we've already seen when we saw Kamala Harris debate Mike Pence back in 2020. In fact, I do have a clip of that. Let me share this. What's this here? I think it's this one. And let's go to my bookmarks here. And let's go to the show. Ah, look at me. I do not have it. Well, you can wait. I must have it. No. It does not have it. All right. So we'll come back to that in a little bit. But anyway, my point is the debate that we are looking forward to seeing on Tuesday is going to be different than it was between her and Mike Pence, because Mike Pence is a regular politician. And when I say regular politician, I mean a guy who would experience shame if he attempted to spew nonstop lies as Donald Trump has been doing. Donald Trump, Rocky Balboa says, I hope we hear her say, I'm speaking during the debate. You and me both, my friend. You and me both. Yeah, but in her first debate with Mike Pence, she was quite commanding, and I'm a little surprised that I can't. Let's see, Pence debate. Here it is. I have it. This is very annoying. Here, let's see. Okay.
Whatever the vice president is claiming the administration has done, clearly it hasn't worked. When you're looking at over 210,000. Whatever the vice president is claiming the administration has done, clearly it hasn't worked. When you're looking at over 210,000 dead bodies in our country, American lives that have been lost, families that are grieving that loss. And you know, the vice president is the head of the task force and knew on January 28th how serious this was. And then thanks to Bob Woodward, we learned that they knew about it. And then when that was exposed, the vice president said, when asked, well, why didn't y'all tell anybody? He said, because the president wanted people to remain calm.
Well, let's get.
No, but Susan, this is important. I want to add, Mr. Vice President, I'm speaking. I'm speaking.
Yeah, you can have 15 seconds, and then we'll give the vice president a chance to
So I want to ask the American people, how calm were you when you were panicked about where you're going to get your next roll of toilet paper? How calm were you when your kids were sent home from school and you didn't know when they could go back? How calm were you when your children couldn't see your parents because you were afraid they could kill them?
Let's give Vice President Pence a chance to respond. Vice President Pence, you
have. That will never not crack me up when she says, I'm speaking. Mr. Vice President, I'm speaking. That froze him. Just, she messed him up so badly. Like, he spent a good portion of that debate with a massive fly. It was too funny. Like, just the surrealism of that fly sitting on his head for such a long time. And she sees it. This killed me too, right? She sees it. And I don't know. It was that the gods? Was it fate? Was it the fear pheromone that Mike Pence was giving off that made that fly land right on his white hair and just stay there? He set up camp. That fly was making a sandwich for himself. The fly was just there for such a long time, and it was hilarious. Excuse me. So I say that it's going to be different because Mike Pence actually does. Oh, this is a good one. Meredith Powell says flies are attracted to cheese. Yes, they are. Slightly different because Mike Pence still, back then and probably now, observes rules of decorum, right? Rules of decorum that are present within polite company, rules of decorum that are, present pretty much anywhere you go. People, there's a certain expectation of, manners. If somebody's speaking, and that is something that Donald Trump takes advantage of, and I hope she's trained against it. I hope she's prepared, because what he tends to do is he does this thing. So his version of I'm speaking is, excuse me. You seen him do this? He uses that like a battering ram. Excuse me. Excuse me. He uses that like karate, like verbal karate. Excuse me. Ka-cha. Excuse me. You ever notice that? So, excuse me. Excuse me. Excuse me. He just does that, and he freezes people. Freezes people. So that's his style. And I seriously hope that whoever coached Kamala Harris prior to this is on top of that, has her, has a jujitsu response to his excuse me. No, excuse you. Yeah. Bring that energy, because they do need to see, they not only do they need to see her deal with a bully like him, but they need to see who she is. They need to see her stand up to him fearlessly, and I believe she can do that. I believe she can. I have another clip that is also kind of funny, because it's Donald Trump doing his projection thing, projecting about Kamala Harris and saying what a nasty person she is. You might not enjoy this, but nonetheless, I do have to share it here.
But I agreed to all these things that I normally wouldn't agree to. Now they have Kamala, who they say has many deficiencies, but she's a nasty person. The way she treated Mike Pence was horrible. The way she treats people is horrible. But the way she treated
Mike Pence, he says, is horrible. Last I checked, she did not have her followers try to hang Mike Pence, just so you know.
Justice Kavanaugh during that hearing, in the history of Congress, nobody's been treated that way. But
he is afraid. He is very afraid, and he should be, of of what Kamala Harris is working with. He's referring to the time when, when Kamala Harris, I wouldn't say she body slammed Brett Kavanaugh, but she did body him. No, she absolutely did, and she wasn't rude. She was still very professional. She still was within herself. But yeah, I will share that with you as well.
Can you think of any laws that give government the power to make decisions about the male body?
I'm happy to answer a more specific question, but
Male versus female?
there are medical procedures.
Okay. That the government has the power to make a decision about a man's body?
I thought you were asking about medical procedures
No,
that are unique to men.
I'll repeat the question. Can you think of any laws that give the government the power to make decisions about the male body?
I'm not thinking of any right now, Senator.
So she had him dead to rights there, looking like a grade A fool. She had him dead to rights. You didn't hear any profanity. You didn't hear any name calling. She didn't say, you dumb. You don't know, because there are no rules there are no government laws that mandate what a man can do with his body. There are none. She could have, if she wanted to, but no, she was relatively pleasant, and she kept it professional. Now, I don't expect that from Donald Trump. What I expect out of Donald Trump is shades of what he did against Joe Biden back in June. Now, I say shades of that because Kamala Harris is not Joe Biden. She's still, I think, susceptible to some of the norms that all of us find ourselves susceptible to. Case in point, what I said a few minutes ago. Somebody says, excuse me, you know, excuse me is a very common public announcement. Excuse me. It causes you to stop, to pause for a minute, right? And to grant the other person passage, right? If you're trying to make your way through a row, you say, excuse me, pardon me, excuse me, because you are trying to be polite. We all use excuse me as a device to say, hey, just give me a break here. But he uses excuse me to cut the line. He uses it to smack you in the face. That's what he uses excuse me as. So really, 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 that she's got to disarm, she has to disabuse him of using that bullshit willy-nilly. Right? Right? You feel me, folks? So with that said, I think she is going to get the job done. There are people in MAGA world. Their MAGA world is really its own little bubble. They're completely separated from reality. They think, Donald Trump is going to do to Kamala what he did to Joe Biden. No. Donald Trump is the old guy in this scenario. Kamala Harris is the seasoned prosecutor. She's not she didn't just pass the bar. She passed the bar many years ago when it was tough. She passed the bar, became a lawyer, then became a district attorney, then became an attorney general, then became a freaking United States senator where she grilled people like Brett Kavanaugh on his way to the Supreme Court, where she grilled people like Jeff Sessions, a sitting attorney general of the United States. Then she grilled Bill Barr. You think she's sweating a buffoon like Donald Trump? She will wants her so badly to make mincemeat out of him. I want it badly. As Lulu Girl says, she didn't just fall out of a coconut tree. Thank you. That was well timed. Appreciate that. Okay, so let's move forward to some other shocking news we learned this week. Earlier this week, we heard that, I don't know why, I wasn't really all that surprised. Nonetheless, it is shocking to hear a well-known conservative politician step out into the sunlight and say they are going to support Kamala Harris for president. It's noteworthy. It's very noteworthy because in this environment, in this polarized political environment, we are very more accustomed to seeing people like Marco Rubio and Mitch McConnell swallow their principles, swallow whatever they were accustomed to seeing as regular politics. They swallow their pride, they swallow their spines to go along with Donald Trump, to go along with MAGA, to go along with everything that their instincts tells them is wrong and bad. They're going along with it. So when somebody like Liz Cheney, who, granted, she might not have a political home anymore, especially since she came out on the January 6th committee. As a Republican, she and Adam Kinzinger sat on the January 6th committee and prosecuted the case against Donald Trump for inciting insurrection. That made her persona non grata in the Republican Party, or I should say, excuse me, the MAGA Republican Party. So anyway, with that said, still very shocking to see her come out and say that she was going to support Kamala Harris. It's a pretty big deal. But then earlier today, I was on Twitter and I saw somebody tweet that it was Olivia Juliana, who's a very sweet person, by the way. I met her at the DNC. Lovely, lovely person. I hope to get her on the show. One of these days. Would love to talk to her about just everything she's doing. She's young and she's dynamic, and she stood toe to toe with Matt Gaetz and took that motherfucker on. So I really got to get her on this show. But Liz Cheney is supporting Colin Allred, who is Ted Cruz's opponent in the United States Senate race in Texas. That's huge. That's huge. But what's even huger than that, because like just as I think I was about to tweet it, and then I saw somebody say, "Wait a minute. Wait." There's more. Not only is Liz Cheney supporting Colin Allred, her father, Darth Vader, Dick Cheney, is supporting Kamala Harris for president. That is just about as crazy. That's like, that's like the Joker supporting Batman. That's crazy. It's insane. I don't even know. That's crazy. Those of you who, sat through the Bush years, 2000, 2008, and became all too familiar with Dick Cheney's like crooked sneer. It's like Superman supporting Lex Luthor, but vice versa. Lex Luthor supporting Superman, right? Chris Passeri, good one. Just flip that. Yeah, it's crazy. I think this is a great meme that I'm not that good at memes, but I made this one here. Liz, at the top there, you see Vince McMahon noting that Liz Cheney endorsing Democrat Kamala Harris. Oh, that's nice. Now, Liz Cheney endorses Democrat Colin Allred. Oh, boy. And now, Laser Eyes Dick Cheney. Dick Cheney endorses Democrat Kamala Harris. It's huge. It's huge. And more these days, I swear to God, I don't need to hear the phrase permission structure anymore. Somebody came up with that earlier in the year and decided that was going to be the cool buzzword or buzz phrase. That shit is so played right now, you guys. Permission structure. But yeah, so Dick Cheney supporting Kamala Harris creates a permission structure for, maybe those Nikki Haley voters who were thinking about just staying home altogether, just not necessarily not supporting Trump, but also not supporting Kamala Harris. They were just going to stay home. Now this creates that permission structure. God damn, I need a new phrase. I'm sick of that one. But it gives them permission to step outside of the party and vote for country. And that's clearly what Dick Cheney is doing with his endorsement of Kamala Harris, and it's noteworthy. We have every reason to react with shock at this because, frankly, we don't see enough of people putting country above party.
A beloved Dick Cheney, your father, a beloved figure among Democrats for many, many years. Do you, if you know who he will be supporting or who he'll be voting for, do you care to share with us who he might be voting for?
Dick Cheney will be voting for Kamala Harris.
Okay. Wow. Words I never expected to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, if you think about the moment that we're in, and you think about how serious this moment is. You know, my dad believes, and he's said publicly, that there's never been an individual in our country who is as grave a threat to our democracy as Donald Trump is. And that's the moment that we're facing. And so I think recognizing that, and let me also say, you know, obviously Vice President Harris and I have had and have policy disagreements on some issues, but I have been really impressed watching, for example, the Democratic convention, listening to her speech at that convention, learning about her life story, learning about, you know, the story of her success and the extent to which it's an American story. And I think we all have to walk ourselves back from this abyss that we've looked over in our politics, and work together to build a better future for this country.
Tell me, how much of the Democratic convention?
You know, I like a lot of what she just said. You know, sue me. I do. I think she's absolutely right. We do ultimately at some point have to get back to that place where we can work together. And when they talk about this permission structure, I think about, like, you know, extreme circumstances call for extreme actions, right? Like, if you're, excuse me, if you were dying of thirst, and you were, I don't know, you were in a forest somewhere, you were away from pipes, and you didn't have a bottle of water, you know, and you saw a puddle on the ground, but it's fresh rainwater. Let's assume it's fresh rainwater. You saw a puddle on the ground full of water. Would you drink out of it? Absolutely, you would. Now, under normal circumstances, are you drinking water off of the ground from a puddle? Hell to the no, right? But extreme circumstances are called for extreme actions, solutions. You wouldn't normally steal a loaf of bread from a store. You would dig into your pocket and you'd pay for it, you know. But that's one of those ethical questions that people use, as, you know, they want to debate, you know, ethics, you want to debate morals or whatever, you know. Here's a ethical situation you can debate. When is it okay to steal? You know, is it okay to steal to support, to feed your family, if you don't have the means to do so any other way? You know, some people would say, yeah, no, without a question, yeah, because family is important. And in this situation, when is it okay to vote for the other party? Well, it's okay to vote for the other party if the person representing your party represents a threat to America. You know, when you chant USA, USA, do you really mean USA or do you mean GOP? Right? How serious are you about that USA chant, and you're waving the flag and the tear comes? Oh, how serious are you about that patriotism? Yeah, so let's get back to this weird story. So we learned that some of you guys might be familiar with some of these characters here. I only know 2, maybe 3 of them. Excuse me. The headline says media startup from Benny Johnson, Tim Pool, and Dave Rubin was secret Russian influence campaign, indictment alleges. So those of you who are on Twitter, even half as much as I'm on Twitter, and you engage, or maybe don't engage with, but you see plenty of accounts on there who just like are extra. They're extra. Their rhetoric is super duper extra ramped up, not necessarily very pro Putin, not blatantly pro Putin, but they will be blatantly in your face trying to get you riled up. This is what the Russian influence campaign is trying to do. Not necessarily way one way or the other, but they want us fighting each other. They want that rhetoric ramped up. That's what they want. They don't really, honestly, they don't really care one way or the other who wins. They care if they succeed if we are at each other's throats. That's their task. And yeah, it's interesting. $400,000 a month. Excuse me. They said Tim Pool and the rest of them were pulling in $100,000 a week. And I just find that I find that hilarious because some of these trolls were on my case about working with Really American, about being a senior advisor for Really American. Why? Because they wrongly assumed that Really American was giving me talking points and telling me what to tweet. Imagine anybody thinking they could tell me what to tweet. Nobody tells me what to tweet. Nobody. Nobody. My voice is my voice, and you know it. If you ever see doppelgangers on Twitter trying to emulate what I do, you know it's bullshit because there's only one BDD, right? I have a very distinct way of tweeting and speaking. Thank you very much. And I'm proud of it. But yeah, no, I became good at this thing, at this messaging thing. So as a senior advisor, I advise them what they should tweet, what they should say, and other things. But I don't clear anywhere near. It would take me years to make what Tim Pool makes in 1 month would take me years to make with Really American. Trust me, I am much closer to poverty than probably than most of you watching me right now. I'm not proud of that. I'm just saying I'm definitely not getting rich doing this. In fact, this show, this is BDD's own show. I've been doing it since I published The Littlest President, and I will continue to do it until I'm no longer able to. But they really castigated me. They gave me the business. They continue to do so. Every now and then, they post that stupid New York Post article, social media influencer under fire for working with Super PAC. Come on now. If I was a Republican with no principles, which is kind of redundant to say, I can just say a Republican, I'd be rich. I would be rich right now. If I was like a what's her face? Candace Owens, if I was like her, or Charlie Kirk, one of them, yeah, I would be filthy rich because I wouldn't care. But I care. I care that the things that I tweet are accurate. And you guys have seen plenty of times if I tweet something that happens to be off base, if it's inaccurate, I'll pull it down and I'll apologize on top of it because it matters to me. But these jokers, these sellouts, man, I work for Really American. It's in the title, American. I don't take rubles for payment. By the way, I think it's hilarious. I came across this the other day. Tim Pool. This is Tim Pool here in a picture with Roger Stone at a Mar-a-Lago party. Those of you who don't know where Mar-a-Lago is is in, I think it's in Palm Beach, Florida, where it's super hot. Homeboy is wearing a ski hat. This says, nothing says I'm not bald like a ski hat in Miami. That's hilarious. Chris Passeri says he's come to call him Tim Fool. That's a good one. Yeah. So anyway, I don't want to spend any more time on this bullshit. Wait. I do actually, because Tim Fool is told what to say. And let me show you how blatant he was with one of his broadcasts, courtesy of Russia.
They know it. But I don't know that it matters anymore. This is psychotic. Ukraine is the enemy of this country. Ukraine is...
Look how angry he is. The enemy. He slams his desk. I wonder if that was written in his script too. Slam your desk when you say this. Ukraine is the enemy.
This is psychotic. Ukraine is the enemy of this country. Ukraine is our enemy, being funded by the Democrats. I will stress this again. One of the greatest enemies of our nation right now is Ukraine. They are expanding this war. Now, don't get me wrong. I know you've got criminal elements of the U.S. government pushing them and guiding them and telling them what to do. Ukraine is now accused, a German warrant issued for blowing up the Nord Stream pipeline, triggering this conflict. Ukraine is the greatest threat to this nation and to the world. We should...
Unbelievable. And so, yeah, Tim Fool was caught with his hand in the cookie jar. Yeah. And yesterday, his tweets were very tongue-in-cheek, where he was being sarcastic, saying that he's... Now he fully supports Ukraine and blah, blah, blah. Dude, you better get serious real quick. You got the feds on your ass right now. Taking Russian money. Meanwhile, those same Russian clods were all over my replies yesterday, all over them, swearing, trying desperately to convince me that Vladimir Putin now supports Kamala Harris for president. Really? Is that it? Yeah. That's what you want me to believe? Do I look stupid? Do you see a red hat on my head? No, you do not. That's ridiculous. And yeah, Meredith Powell says Putin is just trolling. Absolutely. Sandra from Paramount, California says MAGA equals idiots and morons. Yeah, 100%. Tracy M says useful idiot. Yeah, so there was a video that came out that they were all sharing on my tweets as proof. And every person in this video is like breaking the fourth wall and like smirking at the camera and laughing like it's a great big joke. So nobody gets it. MAGA does not have a sense of humor. They can't read sarcasm like regular people can.
That if we can name a favorite candidate, it used to be Joe Biden, but now he is not participating in the election campaign, and he recommended to all his allies to support Ms. Harris. So that is what we are going to do. So it was, well, he said that we should, that is why we should also do that. Well, her laugh, she's laughing, her laugh is so fascinating. It means that everything is good, and if everything is good, it means that, for instance, if we're speaking about Joe Biden, there are so many sanctions against Russia introduced, and if...
Okay, so in the same clip, they're saying that at first they were supporting Joe Biden, right? At first they were supporting Joe Biden. And then later on in the clip, they're saying Joe Biden had so many sanctions against us. So which is it? You were supporting Joe Biden and his sanctions on you? Come on now. You see in the upper right corner of this thing, it says RT. So RT was one of the excuse me, outlets named in this indictment, I guess, in the charges that have been rolled out by Merrick Garland and the Department of Justice. So, as details unfold, we'll learn them and we will share them with you guys there. Notice the left eyebrow. Marie from New Jersey points out that left. Where's my left eyebrow? Yeah. Notice the left eyebrow. Yeah, he was clearly joking, and it went right over MAGA's heads. Okay. So, yeah, because there's nobody easier to manipulate in the political landscape than Donald Trump. All you have to do is gas him up with some weak praise and maybe bribe him with we'll let you develop a hotel or two here in this area in Moscow. Yeah. Sad news this week. Yet another high school has joined a growing fraternity of schools affected by gun violence, specifically mass shootings. Excuse me. This school was in Georgia. It was Appalachia High School, in which 4 people lost their lives, 2 teachers and 2 students, and they were a victim of a shooting that was perpetrated by a 14-year-old. Now, we now know the identity of the shooter was a 14-year-old by the name of Colt Gray. And Colt Gray was apprehended, which I was shocked by, because usually, with these mass shooters, it's always like, they committed suicide by cop. Usually, I guess they will point their gun at the cop, forcing them to shoot them in self-defense. But this kid, Colt, put his gun down and surrendered. There on the left of the screen is Colt Gray's father. Colt Gray's father was locked up, was arrested yesterday, and the charges, the charges could add up to about 180 years, basically life in prison. Apparently, the kid and the parents, the father, were visited by authorities over a year ago. Why? Because the Colt Gray apparently was threatening to do a school shooting. Was threatening to do a school shooting. And so they received a visit from authorities. I think if one of my kids was accused of wanting to do a school shooting, I think I would take away any and all video games. First of all, any and all video games that involve shooting, first person shooter, whatever, those role playing games, Call of Duty, forget it. Now, forget that shit. But this father of the year candidate, went and bought his son an AR-15. Not just any AR-15, bought him the same AR-15 that he went and used to kill those people. They got to make an example out of this fucker. They got to make an example out of him, put him away for the maximum. That's it. That's it. And that should not be the end of this discussion around gun violence. It's out of control. It doesn't matter if it's a mass shooting or a shooting. Gun violence in America is way out of control. We have we have a culture here where when we mention a mass shooting or a school shooting, the first question is, which one? we're the only country on the planet that has an epidemic of gun violence like this and throw our hands up saying nothing we can do. That's ludicrous. There's plenty we can do. There's plenty we can do. Republicans are in the way. They are blocking progress. For starters, we had an assault weapons ban in the 90s, and it was working. And then they let it elapse. They let it expire. Should never let it expire because it was effective. So we need another one of those. So is that going to stop all mass shootings? No, it's not. Some people are going to get through. But is it going to potentially reduce the number of mass shootings we see? Absolutely. Shouldn't we try it if it can, laws in general. People like to put their tongue in the cheek and say, oh, well, maybe we should make murder illegal. Yeah, murder's already illegal. We get it. It's not funny, right? We know that just because there's a law doesn't mean that it is going to 100% stop all crimes from being committed. It doesn't mean that because it's not going to stop 100% of crimes, that you don't do it. Just the same way as when you wear a mask, is it 100% effective in preventing you or someone else from getting sick from your germs or the exchange of germs? No, it's not 100% effective. Does it mean that you don't use it at all? No, that's stupid. Is a condom 100% effective in preventing pregnancy? It is not. Does it mean you don't use it? No. So anyway, JD Vance continues to be weird. He continues to struggle in pretending to be human. He's struggling with that. I guess the best thing that came out of his debacle in trying to order donuts something as benign as ordering donuts. I guess he was trying too hard. You work here? Saying to the employee, yeah, I work here. How long you worked here? It's good. How about you? You work here? Yeah. How long you worked here? Good. All right. So, well, she doesn't want to be on film, so just cut her out of everything. Guess we'll get some of those and some of those, maybe some sprinkles, whatever makes sense. Painfully awkward. But I guess if you were to take a positive away from that, excuse me, at least fewer people are discussing his affinity for couches, his alleged affinity for couches. Yes, there's a guy on TikTok who does a hilarious Vance parody. I have seen that one. But the other day, he was on a thing with Charlie Kirk, the aforementioned Charlie Kirk, where Charlie Kirk asked him about, I think it was Charlie Kirk, asked him about, how would he lower the cost, of childcare. And let me see if, did I bookmark that one too? No, I didn't bookmark that one. But I'll paraphrase what his answer was. First, he said that we need to get grandma and grandpa, in their retirement to put some time in, huh? This is to lower the cost of childcare. Get grandma and grandpa to take care of the little rugrats. Get them. Yeah. It's not bad enough that their Social Security payments are shrinking every year. Now you want them to come out of retirement and take care of your kids. Or, and this was his other brilliant idea, he said we should empower people to who like being around children. As soon as you said that, dude, you should have red flagged yourself. People who love to be around children, but stop making them deal with so many cumbersome regulations and certifications. They shouldn't need so many certifications to be around your kids. They shouldn't need those pesky certificates, that extra training to deal with your child. This is the same guy who was criticizing childless people. Now he's criticizing the whole concept of making sure that psychos and unqualified people are not dealing with our kids. He is so dumb. Oh, Rocky Balboa saying, why does he wear eyeliner? He looks like the offspring of Adam Lambert and Ron DeSantis. That is actually very funny. That is very funny because I didn't see it until you mentioned it, and now I can't unsee it. Absolutely. The Adam Lambert, I get that reference. That's Adam Lambert was great. He was one of the last people I ever saw on American Idol who was really, really good. That brother was amazing. Anyway, the other day, Donald Trump was at the Economic Club of New York. I don't understand how grown people with an IQ above single digits, I really should say double digits, but just people who went to college, people who are thinkers, people who are, at this economic club, who are educated, can listen to Donald Trump ramble for 10 minutes, not 60 minutes, because I think if you're in a thing with Donald Trump and you're listening to him for 60 minutes, I think your eyes probably glaze over after like 15 minutes and you're thinking about other things right now. Maybe you're on your phone and you're not really fully focused on the bullshit that he's spewing. But if you're listening to him just for a short period of time, you're like, how do you come away from that thinking, yeah, he should be president? It really irritates me because any person who is an objective observer, take your MAGA bullshit out of the equation. Be objective. Imagine that Kamala Harris or Joe Biden or any one of the Democrats that you like to slander and attack for whatever, calling us communists or whatever. Imagine one of them saying crazy shit like Donald Trump says. He is unable to answer a direct question. He's unable to answer a direct question, but listen to his attempt to answer a question about the same question that JD Vance got about lowering the cost of childcare. Excuse me. Let's see. It was here. This is insane.
If you win in November, can you commit to prioritizing legislation to make childcare affordable? And if so, what specific piece of legislation will you advance?
Well, I would do that, and we're sitting down. I was somebody, we had Senator Marco Rubio and my daughter Ivanka was so impactful on that issue. It's a very important issue. But I think when you talk about the kind of numbers that I'm talking about, that because look, childcare is childcare. It's couldn't, there's something you have to have it in this country. You have.
What? Childcare is childcare? Come on. Come on now. Right at that moment, why is anybody letting him continue? Answer the fucking question, you weirdo.
Down, I was somebody, we had Senator Marco Rubio and my daughter Ivanka was so impactful on that issue. It's a very important issue. But I think when you talk about the kind of numbers that I'm talking about, that because look, childcare is childcare. It's couldn't, there's something you have to have it in this country. You have to have it. But when you talk about those numbers compared to the kind of numbers that I'm talking about by taxing foreign nations at levels that they're not used to, but they'll get used to it very quickly. And it's not going to stop them from doing business with us, but they'll have a very substantial tax when they send product into our country. Those numbers are so much bigger than any numbers that we're talking about, including childcare, that it's going to take care. We're going to have, I look forward to having no deficits within a fairly short period of time, coupled with the reductions that I told you about.
Reminder that he promised during his first term to completely eliminate the deficits. That not only did he not eliminate the deficit, he blew it up. He added $8 trillion to the deficit.
Out on waste and fraud and all of the other things that are going on in our country, because I have to stay with childcare. I want to stay with childcare, but those numbers are small relative to the kind of economic numbers that I'm talking about, including growth, but growth also headed up by what the plan is that I just told you about. We're going to be taking in trillions of dollars, and as much as
the plan that I just told you about, you didn't tell us about any plan other than tariffs, which every economic expert says that your idiotic tariff plan is going to cost the average American family $4,000 per month, because those countries aren't paying the tariffs. The cost of tariffs is passed on to us, you dumbass.
This child care is talked about as being expensive. It's relatively speaking not very expensive compared to the kind of numbers we'll be taking in. We're going to make this into an incredible country that can afford to take care of its people, and then we'll worry about the rest of the world. Let's help other people. But we're going to take care of our country first. This is about America first. It's about make America great again. We have to do it because right now we're a failing nation. So we'll take care of it. Thank you.
The most absurd, obscene thing at the end of that word salad was make America great again, applause. You literally spent 2 minutes saying absolutely nothing of substance. You did not answer the question of lowering the cost of childcare, and they applauded you. It's very frustrating. What's even more frustrating was this announcement. Oh, excuse me. This is a different delay. This is a different legal delay. This was a few months ago when the hush money case, it's not the hush money case also, it's the election interference case, but people are shorthanding it into hush money case. Bid to delay trial. So this was a different delay that Donald Trump's attorneys were engaged in doing. They were trying to, every case that's been going on, every legal trial that Donald Trump has going on, his attorneys, that's what they're paid to do, to delay, to file motions and appeals and blah, 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 blah. So then today we learned that the sentencing, which I had circled on my calendar for a long time as soon as I heard, all right, September 18th. Yes, finally. And now the sentencing is delayed. So people were quick. I reacted to this in real time and I was not happy about it. I called it bullshit. I still think it's bullshit. People were quick to like rush to talk me off the ledge and say, Brooklyn, Dad, relax. It's not a bad thing. It's actually good because what it means is that Donald Trump won't be able to use this as a fundraising thing. And he won't be able to say, look, the system is weaponized against me. He won't be able to say that. And I'm like, have you not been fucking paying attention? Of course he's going to use that. He's still going to use it. It doesn't matter. Facts do not matter to him. If facts mattered, he wouldn't continue to press the lie that that Democratic states are allowing abortions after the baby is born. He's still saying that thing that after babies are born, that they if the parents don't want it, they just kill the baby. He's saying this, and it's not true. And many, many other lies that he says nonstop. He says that, Joe Biden has weaponized the Department of Justice against him. So not only is that a lie, a blatant lie, Joe Biden has bent over backwards to not only extricate himself from this process, but wall himself off from it. He doesn't even talk about these legal issues. But now he's also extended that to Kamala Harris. So Kamala Harris now has weaponized the Department of Justice. Forget about the fact that she is the vice president and has no jurisdiction to do that, but now magically she has that power. The other thing that irritates me is that when Judge Merchan set September 18th as the date for sentencing, first of all, I thought, why the fuck are you sentencing it way out in September? We had that verdict back in, what was it, June? Why are you setting September as the date? I forget when this case was settled, but it seemed like a very far time out. But when he set September 18th as the date, he already knew. It's not like the election was a surprise to him. It's not like he didn't know that we were having an election on November 5th when he set September 18th as the date. He already knew. So what changed? What changed between now and then? What changed? What information changed? Actually, some information did change. The Supreme Court weighed in and said that, in fact, the president does have immunity, and so certain pieces of information cannot be used in a court trial against him if he was operating in an official capacity. So now judges have to, and that's not just Judge Merchan, it's like all the judges, Judge Chutkin and it's idiot Eileen Cannon. Eileen Cannon is a whole different thing, but Chutkin, Merchan, they all have to kind of reevaluate bits of evidence that were submitted in cases against Donald Trump, and now they have to maybe extricate and disregard things because they're considered under the umbrella of official acts. It's just, to me, it's all bullshit. It's another delay upon a delay upon a delay. And I feel like today we got a peek behind the curtain. Don't worry, Brooklyn Dad. He's just doing this so it doesn't appear political. He's going to make it. Trump is going to make it look political anyway. He's going to use this as a way to say, you see that? They delayed this to November 26th. That's when the date it's been delayed till November 26th. You see that? He's delayed it. He can delay it. He can call the whole thing off. He should call the whole thing off. The whole thing is political. Even the judge admitted The judge admitted that it's political and he just doesn't want it to look political. Trust me. Trust me when I say he's going to do that. He's going to do that, and his crowd, his supporters are going to eat that shit up. And they're going to fundraise off of this. That's why it irritates me. Because we've seen this fucking show already. We've seen it. And it keeps repeating and repeating and repeating. And we are Charlie Brown and they are Lucy. So fucking mad about this shit. And I'm sorry, nobody is going to convince me otherwise. You know what's going to convince me otherwise? It did occur to me, a few people who were trying to break through, talk me off the ledge. A few people were like, hey, maybe this means that the fact that he's pushing it beyond the election day is that maybe he has some time for Trump. Man, even as I say that, I don't believe it. I don't believe it. So let's say best case scenario, Donald Trump loses the election. Now, he not only can he not pardon himself, he couldn't pardon himself anyway because it's a state case. The New York hush money / election interference case is a state case, so he can't get a pardon from anyone other than the governor, right? But the other cases, he can scuttle those federal cases. He's right now, his attorneys are trying to make the New York election case to move that to federal court. If you're not paying attention, all of this shit is just noise. But, those of us who are paying attention see it unfolding in slow motion. And it's annoying. It's like watching a movie. It's like watching a horror movie, and you hear the scary music and you see this idiot walk up to a door that there's growling coming from behind the door. And the guy doesn't bother to grab a gun or a knife or a bat or even a candle to see where the hell he's going. He's like, I think I should look behind this door. And you're like, you fool. Turn the lights on. Grab a candle. Grab a bat. Grab a knife, something. Leave the house. You don't even have to look behind the door. We know there's something bad. There's something growling. You don't need to see what's behind that door with no weapon on you. Come on. But 10 times out of 10, they go in there with nothing. And that is what is happening. Let's see. I see Tracy M saying there is a troll infestation. Is it on our show? That would be surprising, because I'm not seeing them here. But I will say, excuse me, that there is 100% a troll infestation on my tweets, and I apologize for that. To those of you who do show up faithfully to my tweets to enter your reply or whatever, it's probably a hassle, and that's probably why the troll farms are sending. I would say this week and last week there's probably been a 1,000% increase in troll activity on my tweets, and I'm not even exaggerating. Probably a 1,000% increase. In the first 60 seconds after I post a tweet, there are 5 times as many trolls as there ever are. It's like it's wild. It's wild, and I blame Elon Musk. Elon Musk that dude is not even trying to hide his pro-Trump bias, which is nuts. I think it's nuts. I think it's damaging his personal brand. I think it's damaging the Tesla brand. People who would have normally gone out of their way to buy a Tesla are now looking at other options, now looking at other other vehicles, other EVs, and he doesn't care. He doesn't care because he's a billionaire who is looking for, excuse me, he is a billionaire who's looking for that mega tax cut from Trump. He doesn't care about anything else. He doesn't care about us. You know, there's this, if you look at his tweets, sadly I do, his tweets are typically focused on immigration and fear mongering around immigration. He started posting tweets showing immigrants wearing the orange, right, and saying, and there was also this thing where apparently in Aurora, Colorado, they said some illegal immigrants had taken over a building complex. That turned out to be debunked, but people were running with it anyway. They were still pushing that fake narrative. And once Elon sinks his teeth into it, now you get millions and millions and millions of impressions on this garbage before somebody calls it out. So that's the state of things. Here's Bernadette with some helpful advice here. She says, don't engage with the trolls at all. Just block them. Bernadette, I'm embarrassed. I'm embarrassed because usually I like to follow that advice. I do give that advice and I try to follow it, but sometimes, like, I have to go through my replies mainly because I want to mute the jackasses so that the next time I go through, I am trying to get to your replies, Bernadette, and other people's legitimate replies, people who want to engage, in good faith. A lot of those trolls have nothing positive to say, nothing substantive to add to the conversation. They just want to antagonize. I will say this. I would say when you see a tweet that looks like they are trying to either antagonize me or antagonize you, do what Bernadette says. Either block or mute them so you don't have to ever engage with them ever again, whichever is your preference. I would say that. And I would also say Twitter is toxic these days, very toxic. Take breaks. Don't, if you find yourself getting angry, walk away. Close, put your phone down, walk away, go outside, smell the air, look at the sunset. Wifey and I do that every day. Just about every day, look at the sunset. If it's not cloudy or rainy or whatever, it's one of our favorite things to do. Yeah, because life is way bigger than what's inside this little rectangle. I do have some. Damn, I've gone a little bit long, but I don't care. If you're still here, thank you. I do want to share with you the update, excuse me, on The Biggest Loser. We are making excellent progress on this. John Kelly, the artist who did the work on the last book and is working on this book, he has improved. His skills are tremendous. The Biggest Loser. Here's one page here that has not been colored in yet. Some of them, in fact, many of them are just sketches for right now. But this one is early on in the book. It says, as the numbers of COVID cases rose, Spanky told them to slow the testing down. He was afraid numbers would make him look bad. He said, you have 15 people, and the 15 within a couple of days is going to be down to close to zero. But 15 became 1,500, and then 15,000, and then 150,000. Spanky was bad at math. So that's one. I made sure to focus on his COVID failures because those were big. I've also focused on January 6th too, because people want us to memory hole. They want us to forget January 6th. They want to minimize what happened that day. They want to say that was so long ago. That's, that's irrelevant. That doesn't mean anything. Oh, it absolutely does mean something. That should be a permanent indictment on him. He should never get to walk away from that. This is actually the spread. This is meant to be the most dramatic spread in the entire book. It says here, and for 187 minutes. Wait, it's so tiny. Let me read here. Excuse me. And for 187 minutes, Spanky's angry supporters fought Capitol Police. They beat them with fire extinguishers. They beat them with flagpoles. They smashed windows and doors. They smeared feces on the walls. They even brought a gallows to hang his vice president. And in one of the darkest moments in America's history, Spanky just watched, smiling and doing nothing for 187 minutes. Spanky was an utter disgrace. Yeah, and I'm just reading from these printouts here. The art is absolutely fantastic. I can't say enough about it. I'm so excited for you guys to see the final finished pages that are painted, colored, whatever. Hello, Melissa McQueen. I see you, my friend. Yeah, it's coming along well. So it's only a matter of time now. It'll be ready soon, and then you guys can get your copies. So, folks, that's all I have for you today. Thank you for joining me for another episode of Storytime with BDD. I'm your host, BDD, aka Brooklyn Dad. Punxsutawney Mo. Punxsutawney Mo says, when this Pulitzer Prize winner is published, I want you to read it on air. I plan to, my friend. I do plan to. I don't know about Pulitzer Prize, but I'm very proud of what the book is shaping into so far. So, guys, thank you for joining me. I look forward to seeing you all here next week, same time, same place. I love you all. Peace.